Arielle Monroe lay curled on the far side of the king-size bed, her skin burning under layers of fever that didn't seem to break. For 2 days, her body had betrayed her, shaking chills, stabbing headaches, a cough that left her breathless. The bedroom in the Atlanta suburbs felt like a tomb, silent and polished, but cold as the man who owned it. Earlier that morning, she'd begged her husband, Kamari Brooks, to bring antibiotics and fever reducers. He said he was busy. He always was. Now, as night swallowed the edges of the room, Arielle reached for her water glass. Her trembling fingers brushed it, but the tremor in her wrist gave out. The glass slipped, hit the rug, and rolled away, spilling the little water she had left. Her throat tightened. Not from crying, she was too exhausted for that, but from the quiet realization that Kamari didn't care whether she lived or died. It hadn't always been this way. Years ago, Kamari was gentle, soft-spoken, a man who used to kiss her forehead and tell her she was his world. But a promotion, new money, and a newfound arrogance twisted him into someone she barely recognized. Someone who looked at her illness like it was an inconvenience. Someone who resented her for breathing too loudly. The low hum of a car rolling into the driveway broke the silence. Arielle's heartbeat jumped. Finally, he brought the medicine. She tried sitting up, her vision swimming. She adjusted herself against the headboard, clutching the blanket as if it could hold her together. The front door slammed. Heavy, sharp footsteps pounded down the hallway, not the steps of a concerned husband, but the furious stride of a man entering his own home like a storm. Before she could whisper, the bedroom door flew open. Kamari's tall frame filled the doorway, dressed in a crisp designer button-up, smelling of cologne and a night out. His expression wasn't concern. It was disgust. In his hand wasn't a pharmacy bag. It was a thick legal envelope. "Kamari, what is that? Where are my meds?" Arielle croaked. He laughed, not kindly, not nervously, but like a man who had already rehearsed this moment. "Medication?" he sneered. "No, Arielle, I brought something better." He stepped closer, tossing the brown envelope onto her legs. Inside, her trembling fingers revealed the words, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." She felt the fever drain out of her body, replaced by a cold so sharp it felt fatal. "You're leaving this house by dawn," Kamari said, adjusting his cuffs. "I'm done with you. You're sick, weak, and useless. Jay deserves better." Arielle's tears didn't fall. Not yet. Because behind the fever, behind the heartbreak, something darker stirred. Arielle Monroe was done being quiet. As Kamari stormed out, Arielle reached beneath her pillow for a hidden phone he never knew existed, and the call she made next would destroy his entire life. Arielle stared at the divorce papers resting on her blanket, her breath shallow, her chest tight. Fever still clawed at her skin, but humiliation burned hotter than any infection. Kamari didn't just want to leave. He wanted to erase her, replace her, throw her out like trash. 3 years of subtle cruelty disguised as success. 3 years of dismissive glances, cold silences, and the slow erosion of the man she once believed in. And now this. Her vision blurred as she tried to sit up. Pain pulsed behind her eyes, but something else pushed through the weakness, a spark of defiance she hadn't felt in a long time. She glanced at the nightstand. Her everyday phone sat there, the cracked screen dark, filled with grocery lists, family texts, and bank notifications from the allowance Kamari threw her way like scraps. That phone was useless tonight. But the phone under her pillow, the one Kamari didn't know existed, that one held her real life. With trembling fingers, Arielle reached beneath the pillow and retrieved the sleek black device. No social media icons, no photos, no personal clutter, only encrypted apps and a single contact at the top, Dr. Celine Vaughn. Arielle pressed Cal. The phone rang once. "Good evening, Ms. Monroe." A calm, polished voice answered. "Your timing is unexpected. Are you safe?" Arielle swallowed hard. "No, Celine, I'm not." Instant silence, the kind that signaled danger. "What happened?" Celine's tone sharpened. "He kicked me out," Arielle whispered, her voice cracking. "He served me divorce papers. Told me I'm worthless. I'm sick, Celine. I can barely stand." On the other end, the CEO of Monroe Holdings, a woman who had stared down billion-dollar investors without blinking, inhaled sharply. "What?" Arielle closed her eyes against the ache in her chest. He's leaving me for someone named Jade. Celine's voice dropped to a glacial calm. Understood. We're activating Protocol Ember. Arielle exhaled shakily. Ember was not for business issues. Ember was for threats, personal ones, the kind that required stealth, power, and decisive retaliation. Celine, I need extraction, Arielle whispered. No hospitals, no ER attendants. I don't want Kamari knowing I'm alive enough to think. You'll have a private medical team at your door in 20 minutes, Celine replied. And Arielle? Yes? Tonight, he didn't just end your marriage, Celine said. He declared war, and he is not prepared for who he just betrayed. Arielle opened her eyes, something dangerous settling behind her gaze. He thinks I'm weak. They all do, Celine murmured, until they choke on their own assumption. A faint vibration buzzed against Arielle's palm, a confirmation message from security. Team en route, do not exert yourself. Her breathing steadied. Kamari believed she was powerless, dependent, replaceable. He had no idea she owned the empire that signed half his company's contracts. And in 3 days, he would lose everything he cherished. As the private medical team entered the house quietly, Arielle whispered a single sentence, one that would mark the beginning of Kamari's downfall. Celine, make sure he enjoys his victory for now. I want him to fall from the highest point. Arielle's body trembled as the fever surged again, but her mind, for the first time in months, felt razor sharp. She heard the far-off engine of a vehicle approaching the house. Not Kamari's SUV. This one was quieter, heavier, professional. A faint buzz vibrated her secret phone. Celine, we're outside. Front door unlocked. Arielle managed a weak smile. Kamari never locks it when he storms out. Come in. 30 seconds later, the bedroom door opened without a sound. 2 figures in dark medical uniforms entered first. No bright white coats, no loud equipment. These were specialists trained for CEOs, diplomats, and people whose privacy meant more than their pulse. Behind them stepped Dr. Celine Vaughn herself. Tall, sharp-featured, dressed in a tailored midnight suit, Celine carried an aura that made entire boardrooms go silent, but tonight her expression softened, just slightly, when she saw Arielle. My God, look at you, Celine whispered, stepping forward. Kamari left you like this? He didn't even bring the medicine he promised, Arielle rasped. Celine's jaw tightened until a muscle ticked. Of course he didn't. Narcissists don't bring medicine, they bring destruction. The medical team moved quickly. One took Arielle's vitals. Another prepared an IV. A third rolled in a collapsible stretcher. Ma'am, one medic murmured, your fever is dangerously high. We need to transport you immediately. Arielle nodded weakly. Just get me out of this house. Celine brushed a hand along Arielle's back as the team lifted her gently onto the stretcher. You won't see this place again unless you want to, Celine said quietly. And when Kamari wakes up tomorrow, he'll think you crawled out like a beggar. Arielle chuckled under her breath, a small broken sound. He thinks I have nowhere to go. He thinks. That's cute. They wheeled Arielle down the hall. The living room was dark, but moonlight revealed something on the counter. 2 wine glasses barely rinsed, lipstick stains on one. Jade. Arielle stared, silent. Celine noticed. You want that kept as evidence? Celine asked. No, Arielle whispered. Throw it out. I don't need proof. His downfall will be bigger than infidelity. Outside, a matte black medical transport van waited, the kind that looked like a corporate shuttle, not an ambulance. The interior was a miniature private clinic, soft lighting, diagnostic screens, warmed blankets. Nothing about it hinted that the woman inside was supposedly broke. As the doors closed, Arielle exhaled. For the first time in 3 days, she wasn't suffocating. Celine sat across from her. You'll be at Monroe Medical Tower in 10 minutes. Your suite is ready. Your staff is waiting. Arielle's eyes fluttered. Thank you for everything. Celine leaned forward. No, Arielle, thank you. Because when you rise, publicly, every woman who has been belittled, dismissed, or betrayed will rise with you. The van pulled away from the house Kamari thought he owned. Arielle closed her eyes as the city lights blurred by. In 3 days, Kamari's world would burn. As Arielle faded into sleep, Celine opened her laptop and began typing a confidential order to Monroe Holdings's legal division, an order Kamari would never see coming. Arielle woke to the soft hum of filtered air and warm sunlight filtering through sheer curtains. For a moment she forgot where she was, until she inhaled and realized the room smelled faintly of lavender, not Kamari's harsh cologne. The sheets beneath her weren't rough cotton, but cool, luxurious linen. And the pillows didn't smell like a man who resented her existence. This wasn't home. This was sanctuary. She shifted slightly, feeling a warm compress on her forehead and the gentle pressure of an IV in her arm. Machines near the bedside quietly monitored her vitals, their screens glowing with steady reassurance. A soft voice came from her left. "You're awake." Arielle turned her head and found Celine sitting beside her bed, legs crossed, a tablet in hand. The woman looked like she hadn't slept, yet her posture was immaculate as ever. "How long?" Arielle whispered. "Just a few hours," Celine replied. "We stabilized your fever, hydrated you, and treated the worst of the inflammation. You're safe now." Safe. The word sank into Arielle's bones. "Where are we?" she murmured. Celine gave a small smile. "Your building." "The 82nd floor." "Monroe Medical Tower." Arielle blinked. "My building." Even after years of keeping her ownership hidden, hearing it out loud startled her. "You really think Kamari never wondered why your allowance was pocket change compared to the black card you never used?" Celine teased. "Men like him only see what flatters them. They never imagine the woman beside them is more powerful than they'll ever be." Arielle exhaled slowly. Her strength was returning, not just physically, but internally, in places Kamari had tried to crush. Celine tapped her tablet. "Now, let's get down to business. Protocol Ember is live, and your legal team is in motion." Arielle raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Of course." Celine's voice sharpened. "Kamari wants a divorce? Fine, he'll get one, but not the kind he planned." Arielle closed her eyes briefly. "He thinks I'm broke, that I'll crawl away quietly." Celine snorted. "Oh, he'll learn, and he'll learn publicly." Footsteps approached, and a woman in a silver medical uniform entered, carrying a chart. Mrs. Asteri. "Monroe," she said respectfully, "your blood work is improving. Your fever is dropping. You'll be fully stable by tomorrow." Arielle nodded gratefully. "Thank you." The medic left as quietly as she came. Celine leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Now that you're awake," she said, "there's something important you need to know." Arielle sat up a little straighter. Celine opened the tablet and turned the screen toward her. There, in high-definition clarity, was a security feed still shot. Kamari Brooks, in Arielle's driveway at dawn, pacing, calling someone, looking panicked. Arielle's pulse quickened. "He came home and realized you were gone," Celine said calmly. "He thinks you ran away in tears." Arielle smirked. "Let him think it." "Oh, I plan to," Celine said, "but it gets better." She tapped the screen again. A new file opened, a legal packet. "Kamari filed your divorce illegally," Celine said, "and we can use that to bury him." Arielle inhaled sharply. "How illegal?" she asked. Celine grinned slowly. "Enough to destroy his career." Celine slid one final document onto Arielle's lap, a document with Kamari's forged signature. "He doesn't know it yet," she whispered, "but he just committed a felony." Arielle stared at the forged signature, her mind sharpening like a blade cutting through fog. Kamari's handwriting was smooth, confident, slightly slanted, but the date, the notary stamp, the witness signature, none of them were real. Celine leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs with the precision of a woman who enjoyed dismantling arrogant men. "He submitted these documents electronically under your name," she said. "He didn't think anyone would look closely." Arielle let out a dry laugh. "Because in his mind, I don't have anyone." "Exactly," Celine said. "He counted on you being isolated, sick, and too heartbroken to question anything. Instead," Celine's eyes gleamed, "he's about to learn that you don't break. You evolve." Arielle looked down at the papers again. "Do you think he forged my signature?" "No," Celine replied. "He hired someone to do it, and that's where he made his mistake." Arielle frowned. "Why is that good for us?" "Because amateurs create digital footprints," Celine said smoothly. Someone got paid. Someone logged into a network. Someone used an IP address. And now? She lifted the tablet. We know exactly who. Arielle's temperature spiked for a different reason. Rage. Celine continued. The forger he hired works part-time at his company, and the bank transaction for the payment went through Kamari's personal account. That makes it traceable. Felony grade traceable. Arielle shook her head. He really thought he could dispose of me like a broken vase. Celine's voice softened. People like Kamari mistake kindness for weakness, humility for inferiority. They forget that the woman they're crushing is the same woman holding the real power. A soft knock sounded on the door. Enter, Celine called. A sharply dressed attorney stepped inside, navy suit, silver tie, tablet in hand. This was attorney Leora Kane, head of Monroe Holdings Legal Division. Ms. Monroe, she said respectfully, I wanted to brief you personally. Arielle gestured for her to continue. We've already prepared a case file documenting the forgery, the illegal filing, and the coercion implied by the documents. If we chose to prosecute, Kamari Brooks could face up to 5 years in prison, loss of professional licenses, and a permanent record. Arielle blinked. He really messed up that badly? Leora nodded. Yes, and we haven't even begun discussing the financial fraud he unknowingly committed. Arielle tilted her head. Financial fraud? The attorney smiled. By filing without your consent and attaching falsified income information, he essentially attempted to manipulate marital assets while misrepresenting your net worth. Tor, Celine interjected smoothly, which is funny, since he doesn't know your real net worth. Arielle exhaled slowly. He thinks I'm barely staying afloat. Oh, he's about to learn you own the ocean, Celine said. Leora looked up from her notes. We can press charges whenever you give the word. Arielle stared at the window, the skyline reflecting in her eyes. No, she said softly, not yet. Let him believe he won. Celine smirked. You want him to hang himself first. Arielle nodded. Exactly. Leora handed Arielle a new document, Kamari's upcoming promotion letter. He's being announced as vice president tomorrow, she said. Arielle smiled coldly. Good, she whispered. The higher he climbs, the harder he'll fall. Morning sunlight spilled across the private suite as Arielle sat upright for the first time in days. Her fever had broken overnight, leaving behind a clarity sharper than any blade. She felt lighter, steadier, stronger. The medical team had removed her IV, replaced it with vitamin injections and a nutrient IV flush, the kind given to high-powered executives who couldn't afford to be sick for even a day. The irony tasted sweet. Celine entered the room with a fresh cup of ginger tea. You look alive again, she said with a satisfied nod. Arielle smirked. I feel alive again. Celine set the tea down. Good. Because today is the day. Arielle lifted a brow. The promotion? Celine tapped her tablet. Kamari Brooks, newly appointed Vice President of Ridgewater Architecture. Announcement goes public at 11:00 a.m. Emails have already circulated to the board. Arielle exhaled, not in sadness, but in preparation. That's perfect, she murmured. Celine smiled knowingly. You want him relaxed? Celebrated. Full of himself. Exactly, Arielle replied. He needs to believe he's untouchable before we show him how wrong he is. Arielle swung her legs off the bed and stood, testing her strength. Her knees wobbled, but she steadied herself. She'd survived worse than illness. She'd survived marriage to a man who weaponized silence, indifference, condescension. She wasn't weak. She was reborn. A soft knock sounded on the door. Come in, Celine said. Attorney Leora Kane entered, carrying 2 items, an envelope sealed with Monroe Holdings crest and a slim black folder. Arielle, Leora greeted, I brought the documents you requested. Arielle took the envelope first. Are these the asset freeze papers? Correct, Leora confirmed. Once you sign, we can lock down every joint account, prevent him from moving money, and legally freeze the assets tied to your marriage. Arielle traced the envelope's embossed crest with her thumb. He thinks I have no assets. Celine chuckled. Oh, the delusion of mediocre men. Leora handed her the black folder next. This is the fun part. Inside were screenshots, emails, text messages, and internal memos from Ridgewater Architecture. Kamari bragging, Kamari promising things he couldn't deliver, Kamari discussing Arielle like a burden, Kamari laughing about her illness with Jade. Arielle's jaw twitched, not with sadness, but with a cold, calm fury. He really thought this would never surface, she whispered. Leora nodded. We pulled these from publicly accessible metadata, nothing illegal, and nothing he can deny. Celine leaned forward. Now imagine the board's reaction if they discovered their shiny new VP was involved in identity fraud, financial manipulation, and workplace misconduct. Arielle closed the folder slowly. Not yet, she said. Celine nodded, pleased. You're thinking long game. Arielle looked out the panoramic window, the city stretching beneath her like a kingdom she controlled. He humiliated me when I was at my weakest, she said softly. I want the timing of his humiliation to be poetic. Celine crossed her arms. Then you're going to love what happens next. Arielle's eyes narrowed. What happens next? Celine smirked. Kamari filed something else too, something he hoped you'd never see. Arielle's stomach tightened. What did he file? Celine handed her another document, a PDF. Arielle opened it. Her heart paused. It was a request for full marital asset control, filed by Kamari, claiming Arielle was unfit to manage finances due to chronic illness. Arielle's hands trembled, not with weakness, with pure icy rage. Arielle looked up, eyes blazing. He wants control of everything, she said. Celine's lips curled into a wicked smile. Yes, and by filing that, he just forfeited the last thing he cares about. Arielle stared at the PDF as if it were a snake coiled in her hands. Kamari had written every word with confidence, the kind of confidence a man has when he believes no one will ever challenge him. Unfit to manage finances due to chronic illness. The phrase repeated over and over in her mind like a heartbeat gone wrong. Celine watched her quietly, letting the reality settle, not gently, not softly, but with the sharpness Arielle needed. He wants to declare me incompetent, Arielle murmured, her voice cold. He wants to declare you powerless, Celine corrected, but by filing this, he has officially triggered an automatic audit of marital assets. Arielle blinked. What audit? Leora answered smoothly. It's state law. Anytime a spouse files for full control, the court reviews every asset connected to both parties. That includes known accounts and unknown accounts. Arielle's brows lifted. Unknown accounts like the ones he hides? Celine pressed her lips together in a satisfied smile. Oh, yes, every secret investment, every offshore savings account, every digital wallet he thought you'd never discover. Arielle's mind snapped into place. Kamari prided himself on being smart with money. Smart meant sneaky. Sneaky meant secret accounts. Secret accounts meant leverage. And since he filed first, Leora added, all of his assets were time-stamped as jointly reviewable. Arielle let out a short, humorless laugh. So by trying to take everything, he exposed everything. Exactly, Celine said. He unlocked his house of cards with his own hands. Arielle took a deep breath. Resolve solidified in her bones. Once she would have cried. Once she would have wondered what she did wrong. But Arielle Monroe wasn't the frail woman Kamari thought she was. She was the architect of her own empire, an empire he didn't know existed. All right, Arielle said quietly. What's next? Celine pulled up another file on her tablet. I took the liberty of requesting the preliminary audit. You should see this. She handed the tablet to Arielle. Lines of transactions filled the screen. Restaurants, jewelry stores, hotel suites, all paid with a card attached to their joint account. But it wasn't the spending itself, it was where he spent it. The restaurants were places Arielle had never been. The jewelry was never given to her. The hotel suites weren't from business trips, not in those neighborhoods. Arielle's jaw tightened. Jade, she whispered. Yes, Celine confirmed. He's been using your shared funds to woo his girlfriend. Courts love that. Arielle exhaled slowly. He used my money to cheat on me. Celine nodded toward the tablet. And that's not the last thing he cares about. Arielle's stomach tightened. What is? Celine tapped the final document. It was a contract, Kamari's promotion contract, salary increase, benefits, stock options, a long list of perks. Perks. Ridgewater Architecture only awards after a clean background check. Arielle's eyes widened. Celine's voice dropped to a razor's whisper. And once we reveal his felony-level actions, she paused. That contract becomes nothing more than a dream slipping through his fingers. Arielle felt a slow, cold smile spread across her face. He wanted everything. And now, Celine said, we will take the only thing he actually values, his status. Arielle's pulse thrummed with something fierce and new. Revenge wasn't madness. It was justice wearing heels. Just then, Arielle's secret phone buzzed. Kamari was calling, and the voicemail he left would change the entire game. Arielle stared at the buzzing phone, her breath steady, her pulse calm. Kamari's name flashed across the screen like a bad joke. Bold, insistent, clueless. Celine raised an eyebrow. Oh, this should be entertaining. Arielle let it ring, then ring again, then fall silent. A moment later, the phone chimed. Voicemail received. Arielle hesitated, not from fear, but from anticipation. She pressed play. Kamari's voice exploded through the speaker, frantic and sharp. Arielle? What the hell? Where are you? He sounded irritated, not worried, not concerned about her health, irritated that she wasn't where he left her. Sick, helpless, waiting. He continued, voice rising. You better not be making some dramatic scene. I told you we're done, so don't drag this out. I'll send movers for your things. And don't show up at my office like some deranged ex-wife. I'm starting a new chapter, Arielle. Don't embarrass yourself. Celine's eyebrows shot up. Wow, the self-delusion is Olympic level. Arielle kept listening. Kamari's tone shifted, not softer but smugger. By the way, the board loved my presentation last week. I'm basically guaranteed VP. So don't try anything stupid thinking you can ruin it. You can't. Celine rolled her eyes. Oh, honey, you really shouldn't challenge the woman who owns the company behind your contracts. The voicemail crackled with Kamari's sigh. And listen, about Jade, she's young, she's supportive, she's healthy. She's not complicated. So don't make a mess. Once the divorce goes through, you'll get what's fair. I'm not heartless. Arielle stiffened. Celine nearly choked. Fair? He served you forged papers while you were sick. Arielle didn't blink. She listened to every last word, each one a nail sealing Kamari's coffin. Kamari's voice dropped lower, colder. And another thing, don't call my mother. She already knows what's happening, and she agrees with me. She never liked you playing the sick, delicate wife. So just disappear quietly, all right? The voicemail ended. Silence stretched across the room. Celine's jaw clenched. That man is a walking landfill. Arielle locked the phone and inhaled softly. He thinks I'm fragile. Celine folded her arms. He thinks the sun rises because he woke up. Arielle sat straighter. Play it again. Celine blinked. Why? Arielle's voice was slow and deliberate. Because I need to remember exactly who I'm destroying. She listened once more. This time not with pain, with precision. Every insult became fuel. Every condescending breath became ammunition. When the voicemail finished again, Arielle looked up. Celine, we move tonight. Celine's eyes gleamed. Move how? Arielle handed her the tablet containing all the evidence Kamari didn't know he'd given them. I want every dirty detail packaged into a report. His forged filing, his financial fraud, his personal spending, his mistress, his misuse of joint funds, his attempt to seize assets. Celine nodded slowly. And then? She asked. Arielle's voice was a whisper of steel. Deliver it anonymously to Ridgewater Architecture's board of directors tomorrow morning, right before his promotion ceremony. Celine exhaled a low whistle. Poetic. Arielle smiled. I'm not done. Celine tilted her head. Oh? Arielle's eyes sharpened. I want Jade to see the report, too. Celine laughed, soft, wicked, delighted. Oh, this is going to be biblical. But before Celine could respond, the suite door opened, and someone Arielle never expected to see walked in, eyes filled with guilt. The suite door opened slowly. too slowly for a medical staff member, too hesitantly for Celine's security. Arielle turned, expecting a nurse or an assistant, but instead, a short, trembling figure stepped inside, wrapped in a cardigan, eyes red, fingers twisting anxiously. Arielle's chest tightened, not from affection, from shock. Denise? Celine immediately stepped forward, protective as a wolf. How did you get access to this floor? Denise lifted her hands. Please, please, I'm not here to cause trouble. Celine didn't move. This is a restricted medical suite. But Arielle raised a hand gently. It's all right. Let her speak. Denise stepped closer, guilt radiating from her like heat. I didn't know, she whispered, voice cracking. Arielle, baby, I didn't know he left you like this. Arielle's expression hardened. Kamari said you agreed with everything he did. Denise's face fell. Is that what he told you? Arielle nodded once. Denise shook her head violently. No, no, sweetheart. I had no idea you were sick. I had no idea he served you papers. I thought, her voice faltered, I thought you were at a spa retreat. He told me you needed space to get your mind right. Celine muttered under her breath, he lies like he breathes. Denise wiped tears with her sleeve. When I called his house this morning and he didn't answer, I went by. There were 2 wine glasses on the counter, girl's lipstick, and your things, some of them packed near the door. Her voice broke. That's when I knew something wasn't right. Arielle felt her anger shift, not soften, but redirect. Why are you here? She asked. Denise swallowed. Because I recognized Celine's security team. I used to work at Monroe Holdings 30 years ago, accounting. I know the uniforms, the vans. I knew they came for you. Arielle and Celine exchanged a quick glance. Denise continued softly, and if Monroe Holdings took you, then something very, very bad happened. Celine stepped forward. Denise, your son didn't just serve illegal papers. He filed for full financial control. He forged signatures. He misused marital funds. Denise held up a trembling hand. Stop! Please, stop! I know my son isn't a saint, but felony? Fraud? She sank into a chair. I raised him better. Arielle studied her. For years, Denise had been kind, warm, a second mother, but she'd also been distant lately, not cold, but unaware. And now Arielle understood why. Kamari had been lying to everyone, not just her. Arielle, Denise whispered shakily, I know I have no right to ask anything, but is there any chance you'll let him explain himself before you destroy him? Celine bristled. No, absolutely not. But Arielle raised a hand, thoughtful. Why should I? She asked Denise. Denise wrung her hands. Because he's stupid, because he's prideful, because he thinks the world owes him applause. But he's still my son, and if someone doesn't stop him, he'll ruin more than his career. He'll ruin his soul. Arielle inhaled slowly. And what do you want me to do? She asked. Denise met her eyes full of regret, guilt, love, and fear. Show him what he's done, Denise whispered. Let him feel it. Let him lose what he truly cherishes. Arielle tilted her head. And what do you think he truly cherishes? Denise's voice trembled. His image. Arielle's spine straightened. His image. Arielle's spine straightened. Celine smirked. Oh, this just got interesting. Celine's phone buzzed. A message from security. Jade Rivers just entered Ridgewater headquarters, holding Kamari's hand. Arielle smiled slowly. Good, she whispered. Let the show begin. Celine's phone buzzed again, lighting up with a security feed snapshot. Kamari walking through Ridgewater's polished glass lobby, hand in hand with Jade Rivers. Her bright smile contrasted sharply with the crimson dress she wore, bold, loud, and entirely out of place for a corporate building at 9 a.m. Arielle studied the picture like an art piece. Celine let out a low whistle. She really walked in there dressed like a Valentine's Day card. Denise closed her eyes, whispering, Lord, help my son. Arielle took the phone, zooming in. Kamari looked confident, too confident. His chin high, posture perfect, smile wide, the smile of a man who thought the world belonged to him. He rehearsed that walk, Arielle said calmly. He wants everyone to see him with her. Celine nodded. He wants to flaunt his upgrade. Let him. Arielle set the phone down gently. Celine, she said, her voice firm, Send the report. Celine paused. Are you sure? Once we do, there's no going back. Arielle straightened her back, feeling strength settle into her bones. Celine, she repeated, send. The report. Celine smiled, not kindly, but proudly, then typed a single command on her tablet. Within seconds, and, Celine added, tapping one last button, delivered to Jade Rivers, via her work email. Arielle exhaled. The first domino had fallen. Denise looked between them nervously. What? What happens now? Celine stood and walked to the window, watching the city pulse below them. Now, she said, we let the corporate machine do what it does best, protect its own reputation. Arielle nodded. Kamari is a liability, and they're going to treat him like one. Denise swallowed. Will he be fired? Celine shrugged. Fired? Probably. Humiliated? Definitely. Investigated? Absolutely. Arielle's gaze sharpened. Timing is everything. Arielle turned toward Denise. Are you sure you want to be here for this? It's going to get ugly. Denise took a shaky breath. No, but I want to see the truth, for once. Just then, Celine's phone vibrated violently. She glanced at the screen, her eyebrows flying upward. Oh, my God! Arielle stiffened. What? Celine turned the screen toward her. Kamari's promotion ceremony room, packed with executives, board members, and cameras, was shown in a live internal feed. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was the board chairwoman standing at the podium, her face stone cold, holding a thick black folder, Arielle's folder. She's reading it, Celine whispered, out loud. Arielle's heart thudded once, hard. Denise gasped and covered her mouth. Celine zoomed in on the board chairwoman's expression. Her lips were pressed tight. Her eyes were blazing. She was angry, very angry. Then, in the feed, Kamari stepped forward with Jade on his arm, still smiling. But when he saw the board's expressions, his smile faltered. He didn't know yet. He didn't understand. Arielle whispered, He's about to. Celine held the tablet where Arielle could see Kamari's confusion turning slowly, horrifyingly, into fear. In the feed, the board chairwoman called Kamari's name, voice cold as ice. Mr. Brooks, she said, we need to discuss these findings, now. Jade stepped back. Kamari froze. And Arielle whispered, Lights. Kamari stepped forward slowly. The confident swagger he'd walked in was collapsing into stiff, jerky movements. Jade's hand slipped from his arm as if she suddenly realized she was touching a man on fire. In the live feed, the board members whispered among themselves. Sharp, pointed whispers that sliced through the ceremonial silence like knives. The chairwoman, Ms. Valencia Warren, held the black folder with gloved precision, as if it were toxic. Mr. Brooks, she said coldly, is there a reason your signature appears on forged divorce files submitted to the county clerk's office? A hairline crack formed in Kamari's perfect facade. Forged, he stammered. There must be some misunderstanding. I filed legally. Incorrect, Ms. Warren snapped. You filed electronically through a third-party employee under false identity verification. Jade's face drained of color. Celine snorted. He's about to start sweating. Arielle watched, expression unreadable. Ms. Warren flipped the page with surgical disgust. Additionally, she continued, our compliance team located transactions demonstrating misuse of marital funds for personal entertainment, including luxury dinners, hotel bookings, and gifts for a woman whose name is not your wife. All eyes in the room turned toward Jade. Jade's lip trembled. Kamari grabbed her wrist. Baby, She stepped back like he was contagious. No, don't baby me. You told me the marriage was over months ago. You said she didn't contribute anything. You said she was just, her voice cut off as she saw the camera lights. She wasn't just embarrassed. She was exposed. Kamari turned to the board frantically. My wife. He swallowed hard. My ex-wife. She's mentally unstable. She's sick. You can't believe. Ms. Warren slammed the folder shut. Mr. Warren slammed the folder shut. Mr. Ide. Brooks, she said sharply, your wife did not submit this report. The room froze. Jade gasped. Kamari blinked rapidly. She didn't? No, Ms. Warren said. This came through our anonymous corporate whistleblower portal. We verified every claim. Kamari blinked, stunned. Whistleblower? Who? Ms. Warren's expression darkened. That is irrelevant. What matters is that your actions have placed this company at legal and financial risk. A murmur rippled through the room. Then Ms. Warren delivered the killing blow. Effective immediately, you are suspended pending full investigation. You will not receive the vice presidential appointment. Your access to company systems is revoked. Kamari stumbled forward. Wait, wait, you can't. This is a mistake. Security, she said calmly. Two guards approached. Kamari's voice rose in panic. Ms. Warren, please, I worked for this for 8 years. You can't throw this away over a woman. In the suite, Celine laughed a single sharp laugh. Oh, he's finished. Denise's eyes filled with tears, not for Kamari's fall, but for his blindness. On the feed, Jade backed away entirely, whispering to a coworker, I didn't sign up for this. Kamari reached for Jade desperately. Jade, don't leave me, please. You know I love. She shook him off. I'm not going down for you, she hissed before walking out. The guard seized Kamari by the arms, his face contorted, anger, fear, disbelief crashing together. No, no, this isn't happening. Arielle did this. She's behind this. I know it. Arielle tilted her head gently, watching him unravel on the screen. No, Kamari, she whispered. You did this all by yourself. Just then, the guard's radio crackled. We found additional documents in Mr. Brooks's desk. You need to see this. Ms. Warren's eyes narrowed, and Arielle whispered, What else did you hide, Kamari? The guard's voice crackled through the feed speakers again. Ma'am, it's a file labeled Project Haven, but it contains personal documents, not company ones. Ms. Warren stiffened. Bring it to me, immediately. Kamari thrashed against the guards, restraining him. No, those are mine. Private, you can't. But his protests only made everyone in the boardroom lean in closer. Arielle narrowed her eyes. Project Haven? Celine tapped her tablet, searching her databases. No such project exists in Ridgewater's records, which means Kamari hid it under a fake project name. Denise whispered, Lord, what did he do now? The guard approached Ms. Warren on the feed, handing her a dull gray folder stamped, Haven, Confidential Authorized Personnel. Only Ms. Warren opened it, and her face drained of color. Celine zoomed the feed. Inside the folder were printed emails, bank statements, confidential architectural plans, a mock contract, color-coded notes, and at the very bottom, a photo. Arielle's throat tightened. Celine inhaled sharply. It was a photo of Arielle, taken weeks ago, at the grocery store, standing alone, pale, holding onto a shopping cart for balance. Kamari's handwriting was scribbled across the bottom. Public sympathy angle? Denise covered her mouth. Oh, my God! Arielle's stomach twisted, not in sadness, but in violation. Ms. Warren lifted another sheet, a timeline detailing Kamari's plan to weaponize Arielle's illness, to use her image, her health, her vulnerability, to claim emotional abuse, to claim she was the unstable one, to secure full asset control, and position himself as a survivor. Arielle felt an emotion she had not allowed herself in days, pure, white-hot fury. Celine's hands shook with rage. He planned to smear you publicly, to use your sickness as a stepping stone. Leora Kane walked in at that moment, holding her phone. She took one look at the screen and froze. This, Leora said, isn't just immoral. This is premeditated defamation. He documented a plan to destroy your reputation in court. In the feed, Kamari seemed to realize what folder they were reviewing. He lunged. Stop! Those are taken out of context. I was researching possibilities. Ivrian does that during divorce. She is sick. I needed. Ms. Warren held up a page. Use J to trigger emotional breakdown. Record Arielle crying. Capture her fainting spell if possible. Leverage pity narrative for full asset claim. Kamari froze mid-struggle. The boardroom erupted in disgust. Jade, standing near the exit, stared at Kamari as if seeing a stranger. Did you plan to exploit her illness? She whispered. Kamari's mouth opened. No sound came out. Jade stepped back, tears running down her face. You said she was manipulative. You said she faked being sick to control you. Arielle watched silently from the suite, her heart steady now. Celine whispered, he lied to everyone. On the feed, Ms. Warren closed the folder and looked at Kamari as though he were the lowest form of life she'd encountered. Mr. Feardman, Brooks, she said, this goes far beyond misconduct. This is calculated deceit, emotional exploitation, fraud, and potentially a lawsuit waiting to happen. Kamari tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Arielle made me. She's... Ms. Warren raised a hand sharply. Enough. The guards dragged him toward the exit. Kamari shouted, wild with panic. She's watching this. I know she is. Arielle, if you can hear me, YOU won't win. Hear me. You're nothing without me. Arielle smiled slowly. Watch me. As Kamari was hauled through the lobby, another alert hit Celine's tablet. Urgent. Media outlet requesting statement regarding Ridgewater VP scandal. Arielle's eyes gleamed. Time for Act Two. Aline's tablet chimed again, loudly this time, the alert blinking red across the screen. Urgent media. Outlet requesting statement. Atlanta Daily, Business Insider South, Channel 7 News. The Ledger. Celine's eyebrows shot up. Well, that was fast. Arielle didn't look surprised. When a VP gets dragged out of his own promotion ceremony by security, she said calmly, reporters smell blood. Denise sagged into a chair, shaking her head. My lord, Kamari's about to be on every news station in Georgia. Arielle turned her attention fully to Celine. Who leaked it? Celine smirked. You did. Without lifting a finger, she tapped the screen, revealing a flow of internal Ridgewater emails. An anonymous board member forwarded the report to a journalist, probably trying to cover their own reputation. Corporate people don't care about justice. They care about optics. Arielle's lips curved into a cool smile. Good. I want the world to know the truth. Denise swallowed hard. Are you sure, Arielle? Once this goes public, he can't hide. Arielle's voice was quiet but sharp. He didn't care if I lived or died. He tried to make me look crazy, incompetent, unworthy. He was ready to destroy my name for a promotion. Now he can watch as the world destroys his for the truth. Celine nodded approvingly. That's my girl. Suddenly, the feed on the tablet switched, a breaking news banner sliding across the screen. Breaking! Ridgewater VP. Promotion halted amid fraud. Allegations under it, a blurry image of Kamari being dragged by security, twisted mid-scream. Arielle studied it with eerie calm. Denise began to cry softly. I can't believe my son did all this. Arielle placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Denise, loving someone doesn't mean covering for their sins. Sometimes love means letting them face the consequences, Celine added, and this consequence is long overdue. The medical suite door opened. Leora Kane entered again, tablet in hand. Updates, she announced. HR filed official charges for breach of ethics. Legal flagged his forged documents. Ridgewater is preparing for a press statement. And she hesitated. And what? Arielle asked. Leora handed Arielle the tablet. On the screen was a social media post, already going viral. Feed Jade Rivers official. I didn't know he was married. I didn't know he used his wife's money. I didn't know he lied about everything. I'm done. Don't call me, Denise gasped. Celine laughed. Arielle blinked once. Slow, thoughtful. He's losing his career, Arielle murmured. His reputation, his mistress. Celine tilted her head with a wicked grin. All he has left is you. Arielle looked up sharply. And that's the one thing he will never have again. Another alert buzzed. Kamari Brooks is calling again, Celine said, her lips twisting. Desperate this time. Arielle's heartbeat didn't change. Decline. Celine pressed the red button. A moment later, another buzz. Voicemail received. Play it, Arielle said. Kamari's voice came through, ragged, frantic, nothing like the arrogant man from before. Arielle, please, we need to talk. They're saying things that aren't true. I need you. I need you to help me fix this. Baby, I didn't mean, Arielle whispered. Pause it. Celine paused. Arielle's face hardened like stone. He wants help, she said. After trying to erase me? Celine leaned in. So what's next? Arielle's eyes gleamed with cold clarity. Next, she said, he learns what it feels like to truly lose everything. At that moment, Arielle's secret phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't Kamari. It was a name she hadn't seen in years, Caleb Monroe, her brother. And he sent one message. Sis, I heard what Kamari did. Want me to step in? Arielle stared at the name glowing on her secret phone. Caleb Monroe, her older brother. The one man Kamari never wanted her talking to. The one man Kamari feared without ever meeting. Celine leaned over her shoulder, eyebrows arching. Well, this just went from poetic to biblical. Denise looked confused. Who is Caleb? Arielle inhaled slowly. My brother, she said. And the real reason Kamari always tried to isolate me. Celine smirked. Kamari would have fainted if he knew Arielle Monroe's family tree included Caleb Monroe, the CEO bulldozer. Caleb wasn't just family. He was a force. He built 2 companies by age 30. He bought out a competitor with cash at 32. Executives whispered his name like a legend. And he had one weakness, his little sister. Arielle opened the message. Caleb, sis, I'm coming to Atlanta. I heard what that clown did. Want me to bury him? Arielle felt her lips curve slightly. Celine placed a hand on her shoulder. If you unleash Caleb, you're not just destroying Kamari's career, you're erasing his entire future. Arielle's voice was calm. He wanted to erase mine. Denise swallowed hard. Fear and sorrow etched across her face. What? What does your brother do when he steps in? Arielle answered truthfully. He doesn't just end opportunities, he ends options. Celine nodded. Caleb could make sure Kamari never gets hired again in any reputable firm anywhere. Arielle's phone buzzed again. Caleb, say the word. I'll reroute my flight. Arielle typed back slowly. Arielle, not yet. I'll tell you when. Celine grinned. Smart. Let Kamari hit rock bottom first, then let Caleb feel it. Arielle nodded and set the phone aside. Exactly. At that moment, a nurse entered the suite with a sympathetic expression. Ms. Monroe, we're ready for your final wellness assessment. Your fever has fully broken. You'll be cleared to leave today. Arielle exhaled softly. Good. I need to be on my feet. The nurse smiled gently. Where will you go when you leave? Arielle turned to the massive window, the city glittering below her like a kingdom. Home, she said. The nurse blinked. You mean? Arielle smiled faintly. My real home. Not the house Kamari threw me out of. The penthouse I own downtown. The one he's never seen. Celine nodded in approval. It's fully staffed and ready. Security cleared it this morning. Denise stared in awe. You had another home this whole time? Arielle looked her in the eyes. I had everything this whole time. But Kamari saw only what fed his ego. Celine clapped her hands lightly. All right, let's get you dressed. You're about to rise from the ashes looking like the woman he underestimated. While Arielle changed into a black silk blouse and tailored slacks, Celine stepped aside to answer a call. She returned, eyes sparkling mischievously. You'll love this, Celine said. Guess who's begging for a meeting with the board right now? Arielle didn't even blink. Kamari. Celine said. And guess what they told him? Arielle waited. They said, Celine recited dramatically, Mr. Brooks, we cannot proceed with any communication until your spouse arrives. Arielle froze. My spouse? Celine nodded. They think you're coming to defend yourself. They're expecting you. Arielle felt a slow smile spread across her face, a smile with teeth. They want Arielle Brooks, she said softly, the fragile, sickly wife. Celine stepped closer, eyes gleaming. So, what will you give them? Arielle turned, shoulders back, head high. Not Arielle Brooks. Celine exhaled, delighted. Arielle Monroe. As Arielle prepared to leave the suite, Celine's phone chimed. Kamari just arrived at the boardroom, and he's begging them not to contact you." Arielle smiled coldly. Too late. The elevator doors glided open on the top floor of Ridgewater architecture, the air thick with tension. Executives whispered in clusters. Assistants scurried like startled birds. Security guards stood stiff, their radios crackling faintly with updates. Arielle stepped out with a quiet confidence that made heads turn instantly. Black silk blouse, tailored slacks, fresh blowout. Diamond studs glinting like tiny warning signs. She didn't look like a woman who'd been sick in bed for days. She looked like the thunderstorm that follows a drought. Celine walked beside her, posture regal. Behind them trailed attorney Leora Kane and two Monroe Holdings legal aides, badges glinting, presence intimidating. The receptionist at the boardroom door stood abruptly. Mrs. Brooks." Arielle raised her chin. "Ms. Monroe." The receptionist swallowed. "Yes, Ms. Monroe, they're expecting you." Arielle pushed the boardroom door open without waiting. Inside, the tension was suffocating. Board members sat stiff and pale. HR executives looked nauseous. Ms. Warren, the chairwoman, stood at the head of the table holding the Haven folder like radioactive material. Kamari stood alone. No Jade, no allies. Just Kamari, red-eyed, disheveled, sweating, and terrified. When he saw Arielle, his face crumpled. Arielle, his face crumpled. "Listen, this is all blown out of proportion. We need to talk." Arielle walked past him as though he were a piece of forgotten furniture. Celine moved with her, shoulders squared, eyes sharp. Kamari tried again. "Arielle, please." "Don't do this. I'm your husband." Arielle stopped, turned, looked him dead in the eyes. "You were my husband," she said quietly. The room froze. Ms. Warren cleared her throat. "Ms. Monroe, thank you for coming. We were told you were ill." Arielle smiled slightly. "I was, but I never lose strength for what's important." Leora handed Ms. Warren a document. "To clarify," Leora said, "our client did not file for divorce. She did not submit any claims of incompetence. She did not sign any documents. Everything in Mr. Brooks's submission is fraudulent." Ms. Warren nodded grimly. Kamari sputtered. I wasn't. She's twisting it." Leora cut him off. "We also have bank records showing misuse of marital funds for personal affairs." Board members exchanged horrified glances. "And," Leora added, opening the Haven folder, "we have evidence that Mr. Brooks planned a public smear campaign exploiting Ms. Monroe's health." Kamari's voice cracked. It wasn't like that. I was confused." Arielle stepped forward then, slow, deliberate, powerful. "Kamari," she said softly, "you could have simply divorced me like a man. But you tried to destroy me. You used my illness to manipulate the court. You cheated with my money. You forged my signature. You lied to my face. And you thought I would stay quiet." Kamari's voice broke. "Arielle, please, I need you. You can't let them destroy my career." Arielle's eyes hardened into steel. "You destroyed it yourself." The room fell into pin-drop silence. She turned to the board. "For the record," she said firmly, "I support every action you take against him." Kamari's body swayed like he might collapse. Ms. Warren nodded once. "Decisive, final." "Brooks," she said, "effective immediately. You are terminated. Security will escort you from the premises." Kamari's voice cracked into a scream. "Arielle, please, you can't leave me with nothing." Arielle stepped closer. "I didn't leave you with nothing," she whispered. "You still have your mirror. Look into it and meet the man who ruined your life." Kamari broke. As security dragged him out, Arielle's phone buzzed. A message from Caleb. "I'm downstairs. Ready for the cleanup phase?" Arielle's lips curled. "Perfect. It's time." Arielle stepped out of the boardroom with Celine and Leora flanking her like an honor guard. The door closed behind them, muffling Kamari's desperate screams as he was dragged farther down the hall. The moment they were out of view, Arielle's entire presence shifted. Her shoulders relaxed, her breathing steadied, and a calm, dangerous confidence settled over her. Celine smirked. You handled that like a CEO delivering quarterly losses. Arielle smiled faintly. I just gave him what he gave me, the truth. They walked toward the elevator, the click of Arielle's heels echoing like a victory march. When the elevator doors opened, a tall figure stood waiting inside, broad shoulders, sharp jawline, eyes full of unspoken fury. Caleb Monroe. He stepped out as the doors slid open. Ari, he said softly, his voice calm in the way that promised destruction. Arielle walked straight into her brother's arms. For a moment, she let the weight of the last week melt into the comfort of family, the one place Kamari never managed to infiltrate. Caleb cupped her chin, scanning her face. You okay? Arielle nodded. I'm better than okay. Celine cleared her throat. Just so you know, Caleb, she handled him better than you would have. Caleb's lips twitched. I watched the live feed in the lobby. You didn't need me to bury him. You already cremated him. Arielle chuckled softly. Good, because I need you for something else. He raised an eyebrow. Name it. Arielle handed him a folder, the unofficial version of the Haven file. I want Kamari blacklisted from every firm, company, and consultancy under the Monroe umbrella. Caleb skimmed the papers, eyes darkening. That's about 70% of the architecture and real estate pipeline in the Southeast. Arielle nodded. And the remaining 30%? Caleb smirked. Wow. I'll make calls. Denise, standing quietly beside them, stepped forward. Arielle, Caleb, I'm sorry for what my son did. I raised him wrong. Arielle softened. Denise, you're not responsible for his choices. You've always been kind to me. Tears welled in Denise's eyes. If you ever need anything, I owe you that much. Caleb placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You were the only Brooks with any sense. You're welcome in our family any time. Denise nodded gratefully, wiping her tears. As they reached the lobby, cameras flashed through the glass doors, reporters already swarming for statements. But the moment they recognized the Monroe siblings, security instinctively formed a protective barrier. Celine leaned toward Arielle. So, Ms. Monroe, what now? Arielle exhaled, stepping into the sunlight with a presence that seemed to stretch across the entire street. Now, she said, now I reclaim my life. Celine grinned. And Kamari? Arielle looked ahead, voice calm and resolute. He gets to live with the one thing he can't outrun, his reputation. He made it ugly. I just revealed it. Caleb chuckled. Poetic justice. Arielle walked toward the waiting car, her hair catching the wind, her stride steady and unbroken. She had been thrown away, dismissed, underestimated. But she rose, stronger, smarter, untouchable. As she slid into the back seat, she whispered the words that marked the true end of her marriage. Goodbye, Kamari, and thank you for setting me free. The door closed. The car pulled away, and Arielle Monroe stepped into the rest of her life, powerful, whole, and finally unstoppable. Did you like the story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you enjoyed the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep creating more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. There's a lot more waiting for you on my channel. Tales by Aunt Emery. Don't forget to subscribe.